I realized that it wasn't a me thing. This was about visibility, about decision fatigue, about having more inputs than capacity. That shift changed everything, my friend. You don't need more motivation. You need a rhythm that reflects your real life, one that moves with you and not against you. If it's not going to move with you and flow with you, it's going to be more difficult to keep up with because it just feels unnatural. Hey, friend, welcome to Tidy the Clutter podcast. I'm Mariah, and I'm so glad you're here. This is your space for discovering real life ways to simplify both your home and digital world. Life moves fast, and between work, family, and everything else on your plate, finding time to get organized can really feel overwhelming. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be. Each episode, we'll be exploring practical strategies and simple solutions that make organizing feel doable, even on your busiest days. Whether you're looking to create routines that stick, streamline your digital life, or bring more calm to your living spaces, you'll find actionable tips you can start using right away. So get comfy, grab your favorite drink, and let's dive in. You've finally cleaned the kitchen, the counters are clear, the dishes are done, and for a brief moment, everything feels calm. But 2 days later, it looks like you've never touched it. Does any of that sound familiar to anybody other than myself? Let me tell you about the place I clean and I re-clean more than any other place, I swear, in my entire house. It is the vanity in our bedroom. It's this little counter space, if you will, that has become this magnet for literally everything. The new shirt that I plan to wear soon-ish. I don't have an exact date, but soonish I will wear that. New makeup I want to try or I've tested and I'm just not sure if I want to keep it in my drawer or what I want to do with it. A stack of bedtime books that I got for the girls for a surprise or craft supplies that I'm surprising the girls with. I set something down for what I think is going to be just a minute. And before I know it, it looks like the clearance rack exploded in Ross. Like it is a hot mess. And the moment I walk in and I see it after a long day, I instantly feel deflated. I feel so like, okay, I'm throwing my hands in the air and I'm walking right back out of the room. And then I think to myself, wait a second, I sleep here, so I guess I'm not walking out very far. But that's how like frustrating it feels. And what's even more frustrating is that emotional spiral that kind of follows. So I start questioning why I even try. Why do I waste time cleaning when it always ends up the same way? It's not just a mess, it's the story. So I start to tell myself about my capacity or my discipline or my energy or anything. I'm attempting to make myself feel better, but also putting the blame somewhere. Anyway, doesn't make any sense, but I know I'm not the only one. And that internal noise is sometimes just louder than the clutter itself. And maybe you have your own version of that space. It might be the entry bench or the dining room table, the hallway floor, wherever things naturally pile up. It's not that you don't care, because we care. It's that the system that we currently have is just not working for us. It's not. Today, we're going to be digging into why clutter keeps coming back, even after you've done a good, solid tidy, and what you can do to work with your routines and your real life, and ideally not against them. So, we're not going to overcomplicate this or pretend your house should look like a magazine or those beautiful Pinterest pictures that I swear I see. And I'm like, They have 8 kids. Are they sure? Like, how does their house look so good? And I have 2 kids and my house doesn't even look half that good. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to overcomplicate it and pretend that everybody's house should look like that. We're just going to name what's actually happening and help you build simple responses that are going to stick. And hey, if your drop spot looks anything like mine, you are so in the right place. So let's get into it. We're not eliminating clutter forever. I mean, I feel like I can safely speak for everyone when we are going to declutter the closet in the hallway. Great. We did a fantastic job. We hit the ball out of the park. And in a year, it most likely will be cluttered again. And that's okay. Life is going to happen. Like your life is going to change, your kids' lives are going to change. Things are just gradually going to change. And that's fine. That is fine. So we have to remember that we're not eliminating clutter forever. We're learning how to interrupt the loop before it really spirals into the great. I need an entire declutter session just on that closet again. Here's a couple of things that I was like researching and I was like, okay, that makes sense. That one does not. And I actually really like this one. So I kind of want to just talk about a few different options that we can go through. So the first one is a pretty simple habit. This quiet habit has really kind of changed everything for me. If it's in my hand, it goes where it belongs, like right now. I stopped setting things down just for now because it saves so many future decisions. I was reminded of this little habit just the other day when I came home from Target. We had some groceries and we also had a few random things like notepads and a few birthday supplies. And I think the little one had a new jacket. There were just like random things here and there. I knew if I didn't put those non food items away right then and there, as I was already unpacking the bags, they'd end up on my vanity. Why? I don't know. I honestly don't have a good answer for that. But that is where they were going to end up. And once they landed there, they would stay. They would stay until I kept looking at the vanity. And then I determined, all right, I need to reset this entire space because it is a hot mess. So before I wanted that to happen, I paused. I took maybe 2 extra minutes and I put everything where it actually belonged. Later that evening, I walked into my room and I felt this little moment of pride because I didn't have a new pile staring me down on the vanity. And that tiny little decision really saved me a week of frustration. So it's as simple as something new that comes into your house, even if it's not new. We can think about our purses or our diaper bags. When we come in through the house, immediately take the bag and either clear it out or restock it and put it where it needs to go. That way, it's not lost when we need it for next time. Little hands can't get into it, and all of a sudden the keys are missing, and we don't have to worry about it after. As we're going into the house, we're already kind of, what's the word? We already have the momentum that we're moving towards. So whether that is putting an extra bag of groceries away or whatnot, I guess groceries isn't a great example because you usually just put the groceries away, right? I don't know. I do. For some reason, everything else gets mushed together, but groceries, I will put those away. It's fine. But let's just talk about the next one. So you could even pick a main drop spot. Mine is still the vanity. I know. I know. And you could take 5 minutes a day to just reset it. I talked about this in a previous episode where my vanity was so overwhelming. And so I started doing like a foot at a time, like 12 inches of the vanity at a time. And I decluttered that baby in about a week. And that worked really great. It wasn't overwhelming and I didn't feel horrible because I let it get that bad again. But you could even break it down to like 5 minutes a day. Okay, 5 minutes a day, I am going to focus on this drop spot or this hot spot that for some reason, and nobody knows why, it becomes the catch all for everything. 5 minutes a day, I'm going to reset it. And after the 5 minutes are up, all right, cool, I did it. I spent my 5 minutes and I'm going to feel proud about it. We're not going to try and style it or make it Instagram worthy or, oh my goodness, do an entire makeover. We're just going to interrupt that overflow. When it's visible again, it shifts your whole energy. So there was one night where I really didn't want to keep looking at my messy vanity, but I also didn't want to fix it. Like I had a headache. The day had been so long and I just felt so done. But I gave myself 5 minutes. I didn't overthink it. I just grabbed a handful of items. I started sorting what needed to leave and I stacked what really could just wait. Because of my headache, I didn't want to go all the way back downstairs into the kitchen and figure out where it needed to go. So things like that kind of went in my, that's okay. I'll do this the next 5 minute pile. But the moment I finished, I felt like I could breathe again. Not because it was perfect by any means, but because I reclaimed that space. I took back 5 minutes of control where the clutter wasn't controlling me and wasn't weighing me down as much. And if it's too overwhelming, pick half of the spot. Just clear one section of it and walk away. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, just clear 12 inches of it. Like that is fine. The key is just consistency and not perfection. I think when we get in the perfection mindset, that's when we can really beat ourselves up because it's like, geez, this isn't perfect. And really, perfect is what we make it in our heads. So, my last little tip that I'm going to share is kind of like oh, I don't even know what we should call it, like a floater bin, maybe. That sounds silly. But this is more like of a sanity thing. Grab a single basket or a tray, just where these items that kind of float around and they don't really have a home yet. They just kind of float and land wherever they will. Put them in this basket or in this tray. The goal is that there's no more random bits all over every surface. The other day, my youngest emptied her bag at the kitchen table, which is great because that's kind of just what we do. I assumed she had put everything there until I went to sort through my paper pile by the couch and I found this little activity book that I totally recognized because I was wondering where it was when I went through the kitchen papers that she put there. And turns out she had placed it there on purpose because she knew that's where I kept all my papers. And so it's funny and not at the same time because no, I do not want to keep papers over there. It's just somehow I've been working on that side of the couch. And so papers that I'm getting, I'm like, that's okay. I'm going to file them when I get back upstairs. Anyway, so it was kind of funny that she's like, but mom, you put all your papers over here. I'm like, oh gosh. All right. Well, right then and there, I knew I needed to clean that part in my next reset for sure. But it also shows how easily these kind of floating items just kind of sneak into spaces and hide. So if we had like a floating bin, just one landing place, it would help me spot and sort them even faster. So you could give it a fun name for the kids, like it doesn't have a home yet, or I am the worst at coming up with names. So I don't know, but you could just name this bin something fun and everything that doesn't really have a home, but we need to give it a home, throw it in the bin, and make it kind of a weekly thing. Like, all right, I need your guys' help to help me find a home for yada, yada. And the kids might actually find that really fun. Maybe not with papers, they might not like that, but with other stuff, they might find it fun. And you can really kind of just make it part of your weekly rhythm. And suddenly, those things aren't stressful. They're just hanging out, they're just waiting. These really aren't big routines. They shouldn't shake your foundation because they're small. They're just micro interruptions that are going to help you keep the peace without burning out. If you're looking around and you're thinking to yourself, yep, I have got all of those. Like every tip that she said is literally like a trigger to me. I have some strange great news. You just found the root. So I want to hand you something to help. A simple tool to reset one space in 5 minutes. It's calm, no pressure, and it works even on your busiest days. Just head on over to today's show notes at tidytheclutter.com/038 and you can grab it there. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You don't even need to finish the whole list. Just open the checklist and start with one corner. And that little start can really ripple further than you think. Let's see if we can provide a little bit more clarity here. The mess isn't proof that we're lazy or we're scatterbrained or we're super behind and we can't keep up with stuff. Absolutely not. No way. It's a system that just isn't aligned with how we are currently living. And that's fine. We just need to tweak it. There was a time when I would see a pile and immediately spiral. Why can't I stay on top of this? What's wrong with me? But once I started looking at these patterns, like I had hot spots, or I had these later piles, or I had a whole bunch of little floating things that didn't have a home and they just got shifted from one place to another, I realized that it wasn't a me thing. This was about visibility, about decision fatigue, about having more inputs than capacity. That shift changed everything, my friend. You don't need more motivation. You need a rhythm that reflects your real life, one that moves with you and not against you. If it's not going to move with you and flow with you, it's going to be more difficult to keep up with because it just feels unnatural. This isn't about starting over. It's really about catching the clutter earlier, noticing what triggers you, what your typical go to is if you have a hot spot or you have later piles or you have those floating objects that don't have a home yet. Determine which one is your trigger. And then you're going to start catching the clutter earlier, using your habits to your advantage and making those small, graceful adjustments that are really going to honor the way you're living. You can easily shift that hot spot or drop spot, whatever you want to call it. You can chip away at that later pile. You can even collect all the floating items before they drain your brain. And when you do this, it doesn't just look better, it's going to feel better. That sense of control, that's what we're really after here. Not perfection, that peace. And next week, we're going to be kicking off a totally doable 15-day kickstart challenge. I have no idea what it's going to be called, but it is going to be a 15-day challenge. I'm super excited for it because I'm going to do it with you guys. It's quick, it's going to be kind, and it's meant to help you build momentum without the pressure of a full overhaul and hours of endless cleaning. Ugh, that just sounds yucky. No, it's not going to do that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to start simple, something you can do in your real life in real time with zero prep. So, if this week helped you see your space kind of with fresh eyes, noticing the different triggers that you might have throughout your space, next week will help you move forward with fresh energy. You can find that reset tool that I mentioned earlier and everything we talked about today in the show notes at tidytheclutter.com/038. One little shift at a time, that's the new goal. You know your space, you know your patterns, and now you've got the language and the tools to shift them. And that, my friend, is how real change begins.
That's all for today's episode. Remember, creating a tidy home isn't about perfection. It's about taking one small step at a time. Each tiny win adds up. And before you know it, you are making real progress in your space and your life. I hope you're leaving today feeling excited about your next small step forward. Did this episode hit home for you? Share it with that friend who's been feeling overwhelmed lately. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in the struggle is exactly what we need to hear. And if you are loving these tips, following the podcast and leaving a quick review really helps other moms discover these simple solutions too. You can find all the resources mentioned in today's episode, plus explore our previous episodes at tidytheclutter.com/podcast. And hey, if you haven't grabbed your free digital declutter checklist yet, this is your friendly reminder, my friend. Digital clutter is sneaking into our lives more and more each day, but you can take control before digital clutter takes control of you. Head over to tidytheclutter.com/digital15 to get started. Until next time, keep things simple, stay focused, and enjoy those small wins along the way. Take care and talk soon.